Hello, welcome back. And so right now we're going to go ahead and get started so we can start building something. But before I jump into it, I thought I would go ahead and show you a little bit about the breadboard and how it's laid out. Notice it's got up here, it's got the letters A through J, and of course along this axis here we've got the numbers. As it turns out, the way a breadboard is laid out is all of these columns are connected underneath. In fact, actually, let me just show you this. Hopefully this will work out okay. If you look, you can see there's a metal strip that connects all the way across. Okay, I'm hoping you can see that. There's a metal strip that connects them. So therefore, if I plug a wire, for example, let's say this one in right here, as long as another wire is connected into this column labeled 10, these two wires are connected. All right, they are connected underneath the board. The other thing that happens here is that these entire rows here, all the ones along the red, all the ones along the blue, are connected underneath as well. So a wire that's stuck, for example, here, okay, will connect just fine to a wire that's connected here. Okay, there's a big long strip that goes underneath. But a wire that's connected here will not connect to a wire that's connected there. Okay, so all you really need to know is that these groups of 5 are all interconnected below the board. These groups of 5 are all interconnected below the board. These long groups of probably 50 pins are all interconnected, and then along the red they're all interconnected. So let's get started. The things you're going to need, you should have from your kit, is you should have something like this, a Tricolor LED. You're going to need to cut a couple pieces of wire, and although I've got mine cut and you just saw me bend them, and strip them about like this, and you'll see exactly how long they need to be in just a moment when we actually put them in. And you're going to need the jumper wire that came with the kit, as well as some sex adapters, so that way we can use the females and then plug them into the board. I could have shipped you ones that were already had the male pins in them, but then they don't work for other things, because ultimately, like I said originally, we want to be able to get to the point where we're using something like this, and here you can see it's already set up. These are all male pins here, and we would rather be able to just plug a female into it. So just using these little adapter pieces allows us to get away with it and work just fine. And with the breadboard, you can leave it with that, but eventually it might be nice to be able to put them into something a little more robust. Okay, that being said, let's put our board back. Okay, and this guy is still doing the homework assignment where every so often it counts down to 10. What you're going to need to do is we're going to build a common bus. Okay, if we look at, I should have pulled it up. Maybe I do have it up. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, if you look at the teensy, you can see that the ground pin is right here by the USB. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to take this pin and we want to connect it to this dark blue bus. Alright, now I've already cut a piece of wire that does that rather nicely, so we're going to put that in right there. Okay, so now you can see that I have this very first pin connected to anywhere on this blue bus, because remember, these are connected below. It doesn't matter, I could have connected it here, I could have connected it here. I try to keep them short and straight. Notice that you can't see my my exposed wires on either end, because I don't want to short it out with anything. So it's a nice tight fit, went in decently. Scale wise, these should probably be about 3/8 of an inch or something like that stripped, so that they insert nicely. And going forward for projects that we want to do, we actually want to have all of the grounds on both sides of this breadboard connected. So I've cut a piece of wire and stripped it in such a way that it fits nicely. And I'm going to go ahead and stick it from here to here. Okay. So now you can see that I have the ground bus connected here and here, which means that any hole on this outer edge here and any hole on this inner edge here will ultimately connect to this pin. They're all connected. Okay? So, let's move forward now. Let's take this little guy right here, and if you look carefully at it, you'll see that this pin is labeled negative, and I should have my glasses on. I think this is, hold on, RGB. Yep. This is red, this one's green, this one's blue. Alright. So I'm going to take and plug this in like so. I've actually chosen, even though the colors are random, this happened to be black. The darkest color wire I like to have set up for the ground. Alright, it just makes it easier. And on this end, it's split. Okay, so I have a single pin here and 3 pins here. So these are going to be your RGB. This is going to be your ground. And logically, you can see that I can slide that in like that. And now I have made my cable so that it's a male, so it'll plug into the breadboard. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Okay. All right. So now we have our cable set up. And for this demonstration, the first thing I want to do is just get the thing to light up. So let's look at it again. Okay, my R is the white wire, gray and brown in my case. Okay, that's closest to the ground. So I'm going to plug this thing in such a way, let's see, I'm going to do it this way, so that my white wire, which hooked up to the red LED, is hooked up to pin 12, the furthest from the back on this side of the chip. The RGB green is hooked up to the gray, which is hooked up to pin 11, and the purple is hooked up to the B, or blue, which is now hooked up to pin 10. And I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to insert it into anywhere on the blue bus. Okay, anywhere on ground, because you can see this being plugged in right here ultimately connects to the ground. Alright, so we've got our very first very simple circuit. Let's just go ahead and make a new one. Get rid of that. I'll minimize it. Okay, you can probably already guess. The first thing we should do is give ourselves some acknowledgement. Alright, and this is September and 2014. And like I just said, we define these things as pins. I'm hoping you remember that that means we want to use a constant. So constant, oh my goodness. Okay, constant integer. Let's call this red, because I think that was a, geez, look at me go. Get rid of that, there we go. Constant integer is equal to 12. Alright, remember, my red is hooked up to pin 12. Now, because I stumble and fall so much when I'm typing, I'm actually just going to copy and paste. Okay, so the next one was green, and it was hooked up to pin 11. And last was blue, and it was hooked up to pin 10. Okay, and we're going to put some comments in here. Okay, the pin that the red LED is connected to. And again, keep my life simple. Copy and paste. And this is green. And this one is blue. Okay, excellent. So what are the next two sections that we have to deal with in any sort of Arduino code? We need to have the void setup. Well, I'm going to put it on the next line. And look at, jeez. I'm having all kinds of problems here today. That's a capital V, that shouldn't be that way. And that's a capital S. My goodness, what's going on with me? Okay. And we need the void loop. Okay, so we've got our major categories right here. First thing we need to do is we need to set the pin as an output. All three of them, the red, the green, and the blue. Okay, so pin mode red, and it's going to be output. Okay, and once again, because my typing is rather lousy, let's just do this, and let's make this green, and let's make this blue. Okay, so we've set all three of our pins to output. Oh my gosh, time is going fast. Okay, and let's do something really simple, because I do have a 15-minute window here and we had to explain a few things. Let's just do the digital write. Digital write the red pin. Let's make it high. All right. And let's hold it there for, my goodness. There we go. 100 milliseconds. And then we need to make it low. Okay. And let's see. Actually, I think if we just copy, we got 2 minutes left. So let's make this a green. And we're going to turn off the green. And let's make this a blue. Okay, we set them to output. Red goes on, goes off. Green goes on, goes off. Blue goes on, goes off. Repeats, repeats, repeats. Let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. It's perfect. And look, there's 1 minute and 2 seconds to spare. So you can see that, actually, you know what, in this last teeny bit, let's just make that a little slower so we can actually perceive the colors, because I see from the video you guys look like a big blur. Alright. Okay, this is good. So now we can actually have a system that we can send information out visibly from our robot as we move on. And I'm sorry to make this kind of long, but we're going to move ahead, and I will see you very soon.